So before the video starts, if you're not going to watch it all, please skip right to the very end where you'll get some information about Conspiracy Cat's new sister channel. And I'm also going to make a bet. And if I lose that bet, I lose Conspiracy Catz. Happy Saturday and welcome back to Conspiracy Catz. Now, today's episode might get a little bit more heavy than usual, so I'm going to start off with something light-hearted and I'm going to go straight to Chatbox Travels. Thank you to Kyle for sending in the music for this. The link to his Twitter is in the description.
Hello, my name is Andrew Caravan. I've been on Chatbox Travels before, but this time I'm back and I'm going to try and break the record for making the most mistakes in any post. Now, let's begin. Conspiracy Catz, ... Why? All you are, no capital, is a bloke that just constantly dribbles out a constant stream off supper imposed first-class educational school system. Programming for the masses. Space, full stop, space, no capital. And I, for one, am glad you are here, wrong here, to show that the programming is working. Space, comma, at its finest. Space, full stop, space, no capital. Can't, no apostrophe, hide from that.
I don't really know what to say, Andrew, other than I really don't think there's any evidence here of a first-class educational system being imposed. Anyway, Del, before we get started, another furry. Oh man, that's the second time you've fallen for that. Get a grip. So, for those who aren't aware, Shedrage High is a flat earth high school where all the teachers are flat earthers. And today, flat earther Daniel Pratt is being interviewed for a job, but we're here to make sure that his IQ isn't too high and doesn't rule him out.
What is 2 plus 2?
It is so hard.
You can't do 2 plus 2, Del. Go on, pal. Tell him the answer. Do you need help, Daniel?
Yes, I certainly do need help. I need help.
Brilliant. Del, I think this is your man.
So before we do any housekeeping, Anthony's got a presentation which, to be fair, he has shown to me already. And
Okay, this sounds interesting. A presentation. I wonder what it'll be about.
Right, I had the displeasure of watching the non-sex show this morning.
Well, that doesn't sound right. The non-sequitur show is usually really good. They must have had an absolute moron on if you didn't like it. I wonder what idiot ruined the show this week.
Basically, the Conspiracy Catz was on.
Oh. Well, that's right. I was on the non-sequitur show, and I opened up with what I thought was quite a strong argument for the globe Earth side. But Anthony wasn't impressed.
Now I'm going to show you why this original assertion of his, the claim that he makes, is fallacious. It's wrong.
Okay, so let's have a look at what my point actually was. I'll see if I can do it in less than 20 seconds. Start the clock. So, this is a light coming from Polaris, which is 90 degrees above the North Pole. So if I'm at a latitude of 90, Polaris is at an angle of 90 in the sky. If I'm at a latitude of 45 degrees, Polaris will be at 45 degrees in the sky. And if I'm on the equator here at latitude of 0, Polaris will be right along the horizon. Now, Nathan, do you understand the significance of that?
I'm ignorant, literally, I don't know.
I know, Nathan, you're an idiot. So let me explain it in terms you might understand. We start with the observation. We don't start with the presupposition that the Earth is a globe. We start with the observation that Polaris is right above the North Pole. And then when I move 111.3 kilometres in any direction, Polaris will drop by 1 degree. And if I keep moving, it will keep dropping until it hits the horizon at what we know as the equator. At that point, a southern celestial fixed point will appear and will behave in exactly the same way. Now, what's the significance of this? Well, the significance is, if I'm going to find a shape of the Earth which allows that to happen, we haven't got many options. Let me put it in a term you might understand. It's play school.
I'm a circle.
Yes, this will work on a sphere because the tangent line is always at 90 degrees to the centre of the circle, which is what we need. Next shape.
I wanna be a square.
Oh dear, Nathan, it won't work on a square. You see, wherever I am here, Polaris will always be at 90 degrees in the sky. And then at this point, I get an instant dramatic shift where it goes to 0 degrees in the sky, right across the horizon. Oh.
I wanna be a triangle and have 3 sides. 1, 2, 3, I'm a triangle.
Oh dear, Nathan, it won't work on a triangle either. You see, this constant gradient means that Polaris will appear at exactly the same angle in the sky, and me moving is going to have no effect on it. Oh.
I wanna be a rectangle and have 2 sides longer than the other 2. Oh yeah, I'm a rectangle.
It won't work on a rectangle for the same reason it wouldn't work on a square.
I wanna be a star, shining high in the sky, wherever you are.
I'm a triangle. It won't work on a star. You see, if I move down here, while I'm moving along that constant gradient, the angle of Polaris won't change, and then it will dramatically change. Oh, what other shapes will this work on?
I'm a star, I'm a diamond, I'm an oval, I'm a heart.
It won't work on any of them, Nathan.
Onagon, decagon, hendecagon, dodecagon.
Potato, seasoning, tin of beans, Weetabix.
Square, triangle, rectangle, star.
And it also won't work on this shape, this shape, this shape, this shape, and definitely not this shape. Del, do you think Nathan might understand my point now?
It's impossible.
I agree. Let's see what he's got to say.
It's an affirming the consequent form of logical fallacy. It also begs the question.
What? Hey Google, what did he just say?
He said he doesn't even know what the word triangle means.
Let's hear that again.
It's an affirming the consequent form of logical fallacy. It also begs the question.
But you see, Nathan, I'm not begging the question, am I? Because as sure as oranges are orange, Polaris is right above the North Pole. And if I move 111.3 kilometres away from that, it will drop 1 degree in the sky and continue to do so. I'm making that observation and then just asking, what shape of the Earth can fit that?
So, if the Earth is a sphere, if P, then we will see rotation of the stars in the north and south hemisphere.
Completely irrelevant. What are you talking about rotation for? This has nothing to do with rotation. Polaris doesn't rotate. That's the point. Why are you talking about rotation?
I'm ignorant. Literally, I don't know.
I know, Nathan. So let me just remind you. Here is just a selection of the shapes that will not conform to our observations of Polaris.
Onagon, decagon, hendecagon, dodecagon.
So, what I'm asking is, can you think of a shape, other than a sphere, that will conform to those observations?
You're assuming your outcome. If the Earth is a sphere, then we will see southern rotations.
Now, at this point, I don't even know what he's banging on about, other than he clearly, obviously, just doesn't understand the point. You know, it's not difficult, not like converting meters into kilometers.
Perfect. Exactly. If the world is a computer simulation, then we will observe rotation across the plane above our heads. We observe rotation across the plane above our heads, therefore the world's the Matrix. No.
Okay, so it looks like Nathan is struggling to deal with the complexity of my incredibly simple question. Del, how do you think Nathan's doing? Yeah, I agree. Let's forget Nathan for now. He's clearly got no idea what we're talking about. But Anthony, he thinks he can debunk my point. Now, Del, do you think Anthony contacted all the members of the Flat Earth debate team, got them all to download a theodolite on the phone and check the angle of Polaris in the sky and compare it to their latitude? Do you think he did that?
No.
Fair enough. Would have been easy to do, though. Secondly, do you think he studied the geometry of it and actually found an alternative shape that would conform to our observations of Polaris?
No.
No. Do you think he's come up with a legitimate flaw in the geometry I'm using?
No.
Let's see what he did.
But now let me just cite the evidence that's directly against him, the opposing evidence that's directly against him. It comes from Mick West himself. Shut up.
Sorry, carry on.
Bear in mind that Conspiracy Cat's position is that for every X amount of distance you travel, Polaris will move by 1 degree. And it's predictable. It's perfectly predictable, right? But cites no evidence to support him. This is the evidence that shows that he's wrong.
Well, I'm not citing any evidence that this is a potato, but none of us doubt it. Just in the same way, nobody doubts the angle in the sky Polaris is at is the same as our latitude. I don't have to prove that, it's accepted fact, and you can find out for yourself.
What I did is I waited until some very distinctive stars appeared, these two stars right here.
Okay, so we're going to debunk my observations of Polaris by looking at two stars that are not Polaris. Carry on.
Now if you look carefully at the leading star of the two stars, when it hits a red dot or a green line, it's going to be exactly the same as the second mark on the time code. So here it is coming up on the 5 second. So 5, 6. So it's showing that these lines are spaced exactly 1 second apart, and as you can see, they get significantly closer together as you get closer to the horizon.
So this is fairly simple to follow. Two stars in the sky that have an angular distance between them. As the Earth rotates and they approach the horizon, because refraction is greater at the horizon, we get a tiny, tiny change in the apparent distance or the apparent angular distance between those two stars.
So what this is showing is that the claim that Conspiracy Catz makes, that Polaris will always move by 1 degree, shows that as it gets towards the horizon, because the stars are getting further away from us, it means that they're going to slow down on a flat plane, because the further something gets away, it's like when you watch planes get towards the horizon, it's really fast when it goes over your head, but by the time it gets right the way down towards the horizon, you sat there watching it for ages and it's not moving. The counter evidence is on a flat plane, it's convergence. And that's what it, as stars get further away from you, they slow down. Why? Because we live on a flat plane.
Anthony, it seems to me what you're saying is because we get a little bit more atmospheric refraction around the horizon, you are claiming that we can't predict the position of Polaris in the sky. Literally, every person on Earth can take out a theodolite app on the phone and test that for themselves. We know that is true. You haven't debunked anything here. I'm sorry, pal, but you are totally, totally out of town on this. So number one, Conspiracy Catz now has a sister channel called Baldy Catz. Baldy Catz is going to be there just to teach the basic science behind a lot of the things we see in the Conspiracy Catz channel. So this weekend, there'll be a video on the curve calculator and refraction. And again, that's linked in the description. Number two, the bet you've all been waiting for. If any of the Flat Earth debate team can come up with a shape of the Earth that describes perfectly the observations we make of Polaris and the observations we make of the southern celestial pole, then I will delete my entire channel. It's there for you. Number three, in case you don't see me next week, subscribe to Miles Davis. I've linked his channel in the description. He's been doing some really, really good practical stuff, especially debunking this angle of attack nonsense. I think I'm done. I'll see you Tuesday.